Hello everybody, Incon here, coming at you with your Darkness Falls update patch notes, guys. I didn't get to watch the patch notes because I had to go do adult tax stuff. So this is actually going to be our review of the patch notes, and it's actually going to be our first looks because I don't really know what's in this patch other than things that I've seen on Twitter. So I've seen glimpses of the patch, but I've heard that it's very, very big. Some people are calling this the actual Season 6 patch notes. So let's go ahead and get ourselves into it. First up, guys, we've got all of our skins. We've got the Crusher Cabrakan, which, if you want a little history on this skin, I am fairly positive this Cabrakan skin was originally supposed to be a skin back for an entirely different website. It's now like a mixer-related skin that you can get for doing mixer things, but I do believe the skin was originally a Face-It skin. I don't know if you guys remember Face-It ever being in Smite, but they were, and I'm pretty sure they were supposed to have a Cabrakan skin, and now it's a mixer skin. Anyway, that's just a little bit of funniness that I'm seeing because I'm pretty sure I've seen this skin before at hi-rez Studios way back in the day. But we also got a Valkyrie's Rage Thanatos. Is that gender bent Thanatos? Valkyrie's Rage. That is a gender bent. That's a cool flipping skin, and I hope it looks cool in game. Beast within Cucullin, which looks like a cool little Fenriz take on Cucullin. That's nice. We got ourselves Terror of the Deep Scylla. Good God, there's a lot of good skins in this game. They want that cash money, dude. Their art department is so good. Heretic Cernanos. That's an okay skin. I won't give him too much credit on that. Desert Dragon Neath, because it is not, I repeat, it is not a Smite patch if you don't have a Neath skin. So likely we're keeping with tradition for the 82nd Neath skin. Snuggly Artemis, which is gonna go ahead and let that just speak for itself. Depths of Atlantis Nox, that's a cool looking Nox skin. And Spectral Blade Pele. Wow, that's a lot of skins in one patch. That is 9 skins all in one patch coming out. I hope there's some sort of bundle or something that lets you get a lot of these. Otherwise, if they're like all individually in a chest, that's gonna kind of suck. But I have no idea, so we're gonna find out when the patch goes live, I guess. If you want to read through some of this miscellaneous stuff that you can see, there's all kinds of new cosmetic items they talk about, new items, general bug fixes, stuff like that. I'll have the link to these patch notes in the description of the video so you can read through them, but I'm going to try to cover just the main stuff, so we're going to move right along. Yonder we wander forward, guys. We've got the new player experience. Players now receive rewards for completing co-op matches. You can see the rates here. You get 100% XP, 30% favor, 10% battle pass rewards, and you get your worshippers all the way up to rank 4 up in co-op matches, which is kind of cool. The console experience, console players will now be able to use a new set of VGS inputs for communication with other players in the game. Entering this command will bring up the console's virtual keyboard so you can type custom messages. That's been a very, very highly requested feature on Xbox, so that's good for the Xbox players. Got some UI updates. We got daily rewards no longer reset when the player misses a day. That's pretty cool. Daily rewards must now be claimed by the player in the store under featured page instead of auto-claiming. That's kind of weird. Client-side store has new art. PC players can now call roles through the UI and other game modes besides Conquest. Nice. Your hi-rez support ID is displayed in your profile now. This is a unique number to your account that should be used when filing support tickets or report bugs to help us find your account easier in a cross-play world. Other players cannot see your support ID. All cool stuff. There's a Mixer store thing happening here. A new tab has been added to the store Mixer. You can now link your account with your Mixer account, and you earn Mixer points by watching the hi-rez streams. If you earn a total of 600 Mixer points, you unlock the Cabrakan skin that we talked about earlier, which was a Face-It skin that's now a Mixer skin. You don't need to actually spend anything to get those. You just got to get the 600 Mixer points to unlock the skin. And apparently there will be a rotating set of skins in the Mixer store that can be bought with Mixer points. You do spend points to earn those skins, but it will not decrease your total reward to unlocking the Crusher Cabrakan. So pretty straightforward, not too bad. Now we got a big one ahead of us, folks. Ranked is seeing all of the changes that were supposed to basically be going into the start of Season 6. We are now seeing all of these changes come through, so let's talk about them and what it means for the game. Some of them seem really good, and some of them I am not happy about, but we will talk about it. Matchmaking Returns, MMR/ELO. You will now be able to see your MMR when viewing the ranked stats page. Matchmaking will not be visible to other players in the client unless you are a Masters/Grandmasters player. That is because Masters and Grandmasters players are going to be ranked off of their MMR/ELO instead of using the TP system. Diamond and below will still use the TP system for their ranking, but once you get to Masters or higher or above, the world will know what your rating is because that is how you're actually going to be rated within the system. No more TP. Strictly your ELO is going to be where you are ranked in the system. That's great. MMR in the TP system have always been at odds with each other. For those that don't know, basically, the game already matchmakes you off of MMR, and then your TP was like your ranking within the system, except for because of certain things, sometimes things could freak out, and you might have a really high ELO. Like you might be, let's say you're a low Masters player, you might have a higher ELO than a Grandmasters player just because of how the system worked out, which means that you're actually getting matchmaked into harder games than the Grandmaster player. So the Grandmaster player would be getting better teammates, allowing them to get more TP to rise in the system because they had a lower ELO, and then you have a higher, so you're getting worse teammates, so you're getting lower TP, so you're actually going lower. There was some situations that were completely disastrous, so I'm glad that they're making that change. Now, something that I swore would never come back for Diamond Plus players, Duo Q is coming back, so I have to eat my hat. I was wrong, and I'm actually not excited about this change, but let's talk about it. Players will be able to party with a friend and queue up for ranked Conquest. They have brought back the ranked Duo Q. We've adjusted the rules from the last time. This was possible to ensure the matchmaker can make quality matches. So, if you're a player in Platinum 1 and below, you can queue with anyone within 200 matchmaking rating of your current matchmaking rating. If you're in Diamond and above, you can queue with anybody within 50 matchmaking rating of their current matchmaking rating. So, I'm going to be straight up front about this. I've talked about it beforehand. I think Duo Q and ranked is a bad idea. I've always thought in the past, my opinion is that Platinum and below players should be able to Duo Q. I think you should. I think it's good for the ranked population. I think it's good for those players that are playing ranked to be in a competitive environment, but aren't necessarily the best players in the world. That's totally fine. That's the majority of people that play Smite. I think they should be able to play with their friends. What I do disagree with is players in Diamond and above. I do not believe you should be able to Duo Q in Diamond and above. And the reason for that is because matchmaking simply can't handle it. Now, I know you only can queue with somebody within 50 MMR of your current MMR. That's great and everything. But the problem with Duo Q at the top end levels is there's not that many people that play ranked Conquest. Just straight up, it's not a popular game mode. Almost every other game mode is more popular than ranked Conquest. That means that when you're queuing, especially at an off time, even during prime time, but especially during off times, it means that if you're queuing as let's say a Masters player, okay, and you're going queuing for your game, okay, well, normally it would see that, okay, let's say Barracuda's queuing and it throws them in the game. So Barra's against you and you're on the other team. So that way you have like a Masters players in each team. And then because it's an off queue time, let's say everybody else is like a gold player, right? Now Barra can queue, let's say, with Jeff Inless. Now Barra and Jeff can get their duo lane going. It's going to be great. So now the game is forced to throw them into a match together, right? So it throws them on one team. And in order to even out their matchmaking, right? So let's say I'm on the other team. So they've got 2 masters. Now we've got 1 master. So in order, it fills me up with gold players because that's who was queuing, right? So in order to even out this team over here with Barra and Jeff, it gives them 3 bronze players, okay? So now they have Barra and Jeff stomping on a bunch of gold players, right? And they've got a bunch of gold players stomping on a bunch of bronze players. And it's kind of who can stomp on who faster. And in my opinion, that's just not a good state of the game for everything because of how high the MMR gets and how badly it can skew things. I think that allowing two players to queue together just really messes up. And it really forces you into having to queue with another player, because if you don't guarantee yourself a partner at those high ranks, then you're just going to be putting yourself at a disadvantage by making sure you have like lower ranked teammates. That's my rant. That's my feelings. It is what it is. Still going to play rank, still going to go through it like we have for years, but I do think it should be platinum below, you can queue with your friends, diamond above, you can no longer queue. Moving on, though, with our ranked action, we've got updated ranked progression. Once again, another thing that was supposed to be live with Season 6 that wasn't, we've got the qualification games have been removed. Players will no longer need to play 10 qualifying games when first starting out at the start of each split. Players without a previous split ranking begin in Bronze 3, climbing up the ladder by playing and winning games. During the soft resets, players will reset from Bronze 3, between Bronze 3 and Gold 1, depending on what your MMR was at the end of the split. In the new system, rank will be a better measurement of progression than skill. I don't really know what that means. It's weird that it's going to be a better measurement of something rather than skill. I'm not sure what they're getting at, but that doesn't seem like a good thing. I'm just kind of confused by the wording. Players should look at the MMR differences between players as a way of judging their match quality. It is possible that many people in different ranks could be paired together as an intended part of the system. We kind of mentioned that earlier. 2 masters, bunch of golds, even it out with some bronzes. We talked about that a little bit earlier. Updated TP gains and tier skipping increased the bonus for being a tier/division that's far away from your matchmaking rating. Adjusted the rules for tier skipping on promotion to be less aggressive. So in other words, if you're far away from your rank, the system's going to try to get you there faster. It's going to care a little bit less about taking its time, and it's just going to kind of skadoodle you right over to where you're supposed to be. I don't really have a problem with this. No more qualifying games, cool beans. You're just kind of going into your new rank season based off of your last season. So basically, they just kind of removed the qualification process and kind of have it like defaulted, already done for you. So you just kind of go right into your rank games. I've seen some people freak out about this, but for the most part, I don't actually think this is going to have like really any difference other than like mentally on players. For the most part, if you're still skipping your ranks to get to your tiers, you're still going to skip your ranks and get to your tiers. You just don't have to like be super nervous for your 10 qualifying games. I hope I do super good. It's going to be fine. Everything's going to work out fine. I don't see this changing a lot of things at all. Now, for another little interesting change, I actually kind of like these changes around the role queue system. Players can now provide a primary, secondary role choice. Primary role will indicate the role you most want to play. As you know, the system will prioritize it, getting as many players into their possible role. Priority points reset upon getting your primary role. So the more times you don't get your primary role, the better chance you have of getting it. Players will now be able to see how many priority points they have on the queue screen. So that way you can see how many points you have trying to get your main role, so that you're more likely to get it. In ranked role queue, this is actually, I really like, this was my number one complaint about the priority queue or the role queue system, and they seem to have fixed it. First pick always receives their priority role. Great, fantastic. First pick, for those that don't know in ranked, is the highest elo on the team. The quote-unquote best player will be the first pick, so that's great. They get priority role. Second pick will also always receive their primary role, unless first pick had the same one as them, in which case you will always get your secondary role. That's great. For those that also don't know, second pick in ranked is always the second highest elo in the game, or the second best player. And then after that, the next 3 are actually randomized, so that way you don't know who the bottom player is. That was done a long time ago in Smite to prevent bullying of the bottom elo, like lol, bottom elo. So the first 2 picks will basically always get the roles that they prefer. Which is good, which means your best players are getting their best roles for the best carry, which seems great. For our non-Conquest folks out there in the world, we finally have the new Assault map, guys, that will be going live. Most of this is all aesthetic stuff. You can see a little bit of stuff right here. They decrease the reroll costs on gems and favor, so that's cool for those of you that play a lot of Assault. All of this is basically remodeling, changing of the map, all that kind of stuff. Little bit of change here. Decrease the power of the towers by 15. All the way down into the actual main change of Assault is they've added a new objective around the Assault map called Vital Orbs. So we have all the aesthetics map change, towers. Now we have an actual like objective change around the game. The map will start with 2 of these that spawn in the center of the map, and a new one will spawn in the corner of the map after each tower is destroyed. Players only need to walk into the orbs to collect them. They will respawn 60 seconds after being collected, and they provide the following: 15% increased movement speed for the player who picked it up for the next 10 seconds, 15% instantaneous health and mana heal for the player and allies within 60 units. It's basically a meditation. A 1% health and mana regeneration per second aura for 10 seconds around the player, which once again will affect all allies within 60 seconds. This is basically just to get Assault a little bit more action-packed, get people away from camping towers, get people to play a little bit more aggressively, get the games moving along so games hopefully don't stalemate too much, which sometimes tends to happen in Assault. So hopefully these will all be good changes, and at the least it'll mix things up and make Assault a little bit different as people try to learn a little bit of new strategies around Assault, so that'll be fun too. All right, into the Conquest changes, guys. There are a lot of changes, as you can see over by the scroll bar. This patch notes keeps on going for a long time. I don't know about a lot of these changes, so let's get into it. First up, we got the Primal Fury change. This is the green gold Fury, increasing the damage dealt to jungle camps from 5 to 7% on the buff gained from killing the Fury. So for those that don't know, you can kill the green Fury up to 3 times, and that buff stacks for your entire team. So now instead of 15% on max level, it's up to 21%. So hopefully this makes the green Fury a little bit more attractive to go do. Right now it is just by far and away the worst gold Fury in the game. So hopefully that makes it a better objective that people actually want to contest, and that people aren't kind of waiting for the other team to do so they can go get like the red gold Fury, which is so crazy good. Spirit minions. Added a new minion to the duo lane. 1 spirit minion will spawn as part of the first wave only in the duo lane on each side of the map. Spirit minion stats: 34 kill XP, 50 HP, 5 physical power. So this sounds like they are trying to give duo lane just a little bit more XP at the start of the game, so that maybe they don't get snowballed on so hard. I don't know how exactly this is going to work out with leveling, but maybe this makes it so you get the level 2, because you're kind of like 1 minion short right now. So you get the level 2, and then maybe the jungle, this is like preventing a little bit of that jungle gank on you, so you can't quite get level 1 killed by the jungler, I presume is what they're trying to do here. Which, if that's the case, that's great. And I'm curious to see how it works out, but that definitely could help out the duo lane a lot. Next up, we got new jungle rules. This has been in the pipeline for a while. I knew this one was coming. Killing jungle camps on the opposite side of the map now provides less XP and gold. The amount is decreased by 33% XP and gold at the 0-minute marker of a match. This will decrease linearly over time and becomes 0% at 15 minutes. This means that as the game goes on, you're getting more XP and gold from stealing their camps. So you are going to, at the start of the game, it is preventing the snowball. So you get, you stealing the camp doesn't mean you're getting all the XP and gold, but as the game progresses, you will begin to basically get the full credit for those camps, which is awesome. This is a great, really smart, actually, attempt at reducing snowball. For those that don't know, they don't play Conquest really. Snowball is pretty bad right now. It's not its worst ever, because there've been some hilariously bad snowball metas before, but it's definitely up there, like top 5 worst times in Smite for snowball. Where if you get behind early, especially with this new solo speed invade strategy that's come into the meta, there's just a lot of getting behind very early and then never being able to come back, especially in like the duo lane. It's really bad. So hopefully this prevents some of that, which will allow people to more actively get into the mid game and team fights and stuff, and actually be able to play the game and not lose the game in like the first 5 minutes, which is awesome. All right, moving into item changes, guys. We've got 2 item changes this time, and they're not really item changes. They're actually getting tier 3 itemed. We're going to be looking at Aussie and Ichivol. This is going to build off of Balanced Blade. Aussie is now a tier 3 item. This will give 20 physical power, 20% physical lifesteal, 25% attack speed, 15 pen, and if you drop below 35% health, you gain an additional 30% lifesteal for 5 seconds, and it can only occur every 15 seconds, cost 25.50 gold. Obviously, bringing Aussie back into the potential spotlight here. 20 power, 20 lifesteal, 25 attack speed for 25.50. Are okay stats. 15 pen, pretty good. All the stats are fine. It's not really as stat efficient as picking up like an early game Silver Branch bow right now. Obviously, Silver Branch doesn't give you lifesteal. But the real big deal is that passive combined with that lifesteal. That is 50% lifesteal for 5 seconds off of one item when you need it the most. That's huge. Just the entire encompassing of this item looks really strong. Depending on how it goes, we're kind of in like a power build meta for ADCs, where they're utilizing like oboe attack speed, and then you get that 60% damage bonus from your power. So you're stacking large items. So I wonder if, because there's such heavy power in the builds already, if you can get away now with an Aussie as your lifesteal instead of like a, say, Devo Gloves, because you're going to be getting your power elsewhere. So if you get 50% lifesteal right when you need it, who needs to stack Devo Gloves? So I'm very excited to see how this item turns out. Now, this is an item that I think will probably get nerfed, but we're going to see how it happens. So let's get right into it. Tier 3 Equivol, guys, 2450 gold, 30 physical power, 30% attack speed. So let's say if you compare it up here to Aussie, 100 gold cheaper, and you get 10 more power, and you get 5% more attack speed, but you don't obviously get the lifesteal and the pen. But the big thing here on Equivol, which I think is going to make it mandatory in the duo lane for hunters, every successful basic attack increases your power by 15 and reduces enemy attack speed by 10, and it maxes out at 3 stacks. First of all, it says successful basic attack. By its wording, this means that it should proc on minions, which means that's an extra 45 power, which means this is a 75 power item. And if you're fighting the other hunter, you're going to be reducing their attack speed by 30%, which is the entirety of attack speed you're gaining from Equivol. I would be perplexed if this item didn't immediately become meta for hunters, because how the heck are you supposed to win a fight against somebody that's lowering your attack speed by 30%? I can't get over. That's so much attack speed, guys. 30% is a lot. Now we're into our god balance changes. We got a lot of them, so let's start off with Ao Kuang. Ao Kuang is getting a nerf. Decreased Dragon's Call damage from 35 to 95 to 30 to 90. 5 damage off of every tier. I am personally of the belief that Ao Kuang is basically the best jungler in the game right now. For ranked, he just has such good damage, gank, snowball, late game, teamfight, everything to him. And I do not think that minusing 5 damage off of Dragon's Call is going to be that big of a deal. Yeah, because of the way that you get so many procs on it, it's actually 5 times how many procs you get or whatever. It's not going to matter. He's still going to be just as problematic. For all the Kuang mains out there, you're safe. Don't worry about it. Keep on playing. Bacchus, on the other hand, receiving a much more significant nerf. We see his Drunkometer decreased damage mitigation from 7% to 5% while tipsy. This is your tier 1 of your drunk. And from 14% to 10% while smashed. That's very important because you're building up this entire passive meter in the base when you're playing Bacchus at level 1, because you can drink at level 1 now. That was the big Bacchus change for Season 6. So you were getting all these mitigations. You were getting the 14% because you were just smashed walking into the lane, which meant you were unkillable. That's a great change. And also reducing Belch of the God damage from 25 to 85 to 20 to 80. I think that 5 damage at the start of the game is much more important. This ticks 4 times. So now instead of doing 100 damage to the wave with Belch, you're only doing 80. Bacchus was basically, you couldn't out-clear him because he did 100 damage to the wave, plus the bonus damage that you get from being drunk. So you're actually doing more than 100 damage. Plus it knocks back the minions, so they're actually not auto-attacking during that time. Plus it stuns the minions after it's done, so they really weren't auto-attacking during that time. Much needed Bacchus changes. Obviously, very strong nerf to his level 1 lane clear and laning phase. So we'll see how this turns him out. I still think Bacchus is so strong and will be okay, but this should prevent him from just being miles and away the best support in the game. Bacchusura getting a nerf. Bacchusura, one of the top win rates in the game for Conquest ranked right now. He is Regurgitate's getting a nerf. The two big things here, the duration of your cone autos has gone from 6 seconds to 5 seconds, so you lost a full, basically, auto attack or two on those AoE autos. And the decreased CC immunity duration from 1.5 seconds to 1 second, that's actually massive. When Bacca ults you, he becomes CC immune, so you can't stop him from auto attacking you. By making it 0.5 seconds off, that means you're going to have so much. 0.5 seconds is a big deal. That's at least a full auto prepping into a second auto for how much attack speed Bacca builds. That means you're going to be able to peel them off of you, use a CC, have somebody help you out and help you live through Bacca. It also means that Bacca's probably maybe going to want to get beads as a first relic instead of blink sometimes because he can't just use his ulti as a CC immunity. So those are great changes for Bacca. Fenriz getting a very interesting set of changes because it's what I would call a nerf buff. They're nerfing one thing, and so they're kind of buffing another thing to compensate for it. So let's talk about it. Unchained, Fenriz jump. If you've ever played against a Fenriz right now, you understand that Fenriz jump is an absolutely broken ability and should not exist the way that it does, and so it's not going to. Nerfing the damage from 95 to 335 to 75 to 315, 20 damage nerf at all levels. And they're decreasing the amount of cooldown that you get decreased on a successful hit on a god from 50% to 30%. So instead of your cooldown being 50% done already when you hit on a god, it's only going to be 30% done already, so you can't just immediately spam it again. Those are obviously big nerfs to his one, but Brutalize is getting totally kind of reworked. Brutalize will now always cleave. So for those that don't know, right now you have to build up 5 runes on Fenrir. Then you can use Brutalize, and then it does the cleave damage. Now the ability will always do cleave damage. Because of that, they're reducing the AoE damage of the cleave from 75% of total damage to only 50% of total damage. But at max runes now, because the ability is always AoE, the ability will now deal an additional 15% of your physical power per hit during the Brutalize. This means that Brutalize now to a single target with runes on will actually do 15% more damage per hit. So you're looking at 60% additional scaling. This means that Fenrir's clear in the jungle and in lane is probably way better. Especially jungle, where you're not really caring about your AoE damage, right? Like, you're brutalizing the main camp minion, and then the AoE damage is kind of like, let it deal with those side minions. I don't think it's that big of a deal for Fenrir to lose 25% damage on those. I think it's going to make his level 1 clear better for jungles, and I think that Brutalize now, with runes on, is going to just absolutely decimate characters that can't get out of it. I'm talking like anybody that just has like a dash that he stays in. Like Shibalanke, dude, you just got roasty, flippin' toasted. Good luck. That is like one-shotting you. So I'm very excited to see how this transitions him from like leveling your 1 first to definitely leveling Brutalize first. The long-awaited Freya nerf. It is here. It is happening. And she's getting nerfed out of her brain hole. Decreasing the base damage on Northern Lights from 11 to 75 to 10 to 60. Notable tiers here. Look at this damage decrease. Level 1, only 1 damage decrease. Level 2, 12 damage decrease. Level 3 is like a 24 damage decrease here. And then it goes back down again, and it's only like and then it's a 19 decrease, and then it's a 15 decrease. Weird way that these numbers have changed back down, but a significant decrease. The slow from 25 to 15, the minion explosion from 50 to 25, and the ranged magical damage scaling from 15 to 10% per hit. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I think Freya is bad. I think Freya's problem continues to be Freya's problem, which is she's either broken or bad. And I think with all these changes, I expect to not see Freya basically picked or banned anymore in ranked anymore. So I expect to see a lot more Cerns and Shibalanques and stuff in the meta, because I just don't see Freya getting played anymore. So good, I guess. I'm tired of her in my games anyway. Little change to Hunbats. That's going to be a big deal. Sacred Monkey can now re-hit minions, and it can only hit gods once. Relevant of this really is jungle clear. You throw your jungle Sacred Monkey, say, on the big harpy. It bounces small harpy, back on the big harpy. It's going to help out Hunbat's jungle clear a lot to help him get through the early game. Could have a big relevance on him getting to level 5 faster, which is really where Hunbat starts to thrive. Very good change for Hunbat. Expect to see a lot more of him. Jorgen, Schlorgen, Borgen is getting a bit of a buff. Base stats increasing from 18 to 21, and his World Serpent cooldown is decreasing from 120 to 100 to 100 at all ranks. I still don't think Jorgen's going to be any good. I still think he's actually one of the worst gods in the entire game, even with these changes. So I don't expect him to be played at all, even if he's available in rank Q, until he gets significant changes to being relevant in team fights or being able to peel or initiate or do anything. The King Arthur nerfs are finally here, and they maybe aren't as big as you thought they'd be, but we got a couple things to talk about. Decrease the melee damage bonus from 50% at all times to 30 to 50% as you rank up the ability. Twin Cleave, which is Blade Storm, decrease energy gain from 2 to 1.5 per hit. And Sundering Strike / Excalibur's Fury now cost 40 mana. That's all the changes to Arthur. I think the biggest change here is probably going to be the scaling damage on overhead slash, at least in the early stages of the game. Energy decrease gain will be a little bit nice. That way he's not getting his ulti quite up as much. But for the most part, if you like Arthur now, I don't see him being that much less effective. And if you don't like him right now, then I don't see any of this making you want to play him either. So there you go. Pretty much stays the same. Marlin getting his fair share of nerfs while he is looking for his son. They have reduced the initial hit scaling of Eclipse from 70% to 60%. That is your arcane form, 10% scaling. Honestly, not that big of a deal. Frostbolt receiving a couple of interesting changes. Gem of Isolation will now apply the slow after it does damage, not beforehand. So you do not get the bonus damage for having a target slowed from Gem of Isolation on your Frostbolt anymore. And they're also reducing the bonus damage from 20% to 15%. Blizzard is strictly bug fixes, just fixing issues that were causing it to do too much damage. And Flicker had its cooldown increased by basically 2 seconds at all ranks. All said and done on these changes for Merlin, it's definitely going to tone him down slightly, but I still think even with all these changes, he's still going to be one of the best, if not the best mid laner in the game, so don't stop playing him, or banning him for that matter. Time for Nezha to get nerfed. We are nerfing the assassins that are popular in the support role. They are decreasing the base damage on his ultimate from 40 to 120 to 30 to 110. And decreasing the initial / landing damage from 80 to 280 to 50 to 270. Really just hitting home at trying to make you actually build damage to do damage on Nezha, so you can't just get away with building full tank and the support role and just like running around and Nezha-ing people. So sorry, Awesome Jake, you're getting slapped on that one. And the Universal Ring Toss, they're decreasing their protection debuff from 15 flat to 10 to 14. Once again, going to be particularly important in the early game where that was making you do a ton more damage. This is 100% oriented at the support Nezha players, trying to get them to stop doing that while trying to not nerf the late game numbers / not nerfing his scaling at all, so that way he can still be built in the jungle. Guess who's getting another round of nerfs? It's everybody's favorite god, Pele. Once again, she will be getting hit by that nerf back, guys. We're decreasing her inner damage on Eruption from 80 to 260 to 70 to 250, so just 10 damage every rank. And her ultimate Volcanic Lightning is decreasing the initial damage when you first, twirly whirly into somebody from 200 to 520 to 180 to 520. So nerfing that early game damage by 20 and then subsequently regaining that damage back on until the very end. It's the same again. Once again, trying to nerf a little bit of her pressure in the early stages of the game. I truly don't think that this is going to change anything about her that's so strong. She's still going to have the CC immunity, the range damage, the movement speed. She's still going to be super strong. So if you're afraid of her, still be afraid of her. The bird is just a little bit tankier. In bird culture, we call that nice. They've decreased the mana cost of Pick Me Up. This is Rama's stim from 80 to 100 mana to 60 to 80 mana. So that way you can use it a little bit more often without having to be so worried about its mana cost. For the most part, not going to change Rama at all. So there you go. And for the final change of the patch, guys, Vimana finally getting his much-deserved nerf, decreasing his base movement speed from 380 to 375, so you just have a little bit more chance to outrun him, decreasing the base damage on an armored umbrella from 85 to 305 to 85 to 285. So this is actually a back-end nerf, nerfing that late game damage and not the early game damage. In Umbrella Ring, they are decreasing its attack/movement speed slow from 30% to 25%. Overall, taking slabs at Vimana, trying to bring him down to everybody else's level. I don't think it's going to matter at all because none of these things are his ultimate nor Hasten Fatalis, which is really the winning combo for Vimana that makes him an unstoppable beast because you can't peel him. So while these are maybe a little bit less convenient for Vimana, it's not going to stop the big baby from big babying. That's it, guys. That's all the patch notes. Like I said, sorry that I wasn't able to have the normal, full 2-hour-long upload of us watching the patch notes. I couldn't do that because I did not watch the patch notes because I was not able to be here for them. But hopefully for the next patch notes, it'll be all normal. So we'll have our normal watching and review of the patch notes for the next one, guys. But I wanted to make sure I still got the review out for you as fast as possible so you could go over all this patch notes and have an idea about how it's going to change the meta, guys. Thank you so much for your support. For all of you guys that come to the videos, hang out, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, all those other nerdy things that YouTubers say. I appreciate every single one of you guys. So thank you for being a part of the Twitchiest community as always. Have a twitching day, y'all. Thank you for watching the video. If you liked the video, please go ahead and hit the like button. And if you like the channel, go ahead and subscribe and ring that bell, guys, in order to get notifications for our uploads. If you want to go the extra mile to help support the Twitchiest community, you can always go to our Twitch channel at twitch.tv/Incon and use your Twitch Prime sub there. It's a great way to help support the community. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a twitching day, y'all.